My name is Gypsy Schindler, and I am from Michigan originally, but right now I live in Alfred, New York. Well, this piece is called I Shall Not Be Broken. It was from a series that I did called the I Shall Not series. It was a series of pieces that I did about individuals that I knew, myself included, who were trying to bust out of a box in some kind of way. You know, so I Shall Not Be Broken. I had another one called I Shall Not Be Caged. I Shall Not Be Moved. I Shall Not Be Contained, you know, along that sort of theme. And so this piece kind of has two different concepts. It has that concept, which was the general theme of the series that I did, but this also has a personal context as well. This is my stepson, Justin. And I've known Justin for about, 5 years. And I got to see him at the time that I met him and started to get to know him. We were living in a small community, small conservative community in the Midwest in Indiana. And so I got to see a lot of what it was like for him, a young brown black man, and he is mixed race. He's Puerto Rican and Dominican both, but grow up in Middle America and see what that was like. And you know, it was an education for me to see how many different worlds he had to navigate. I entered into a family and got to have a sort of a witness perspective on what it means to navigate the world as a black and brown person. And so it was a big education for me. How to go out in the world, how to deal with discrimination on a day-to-day basis. And I'm no stranger to discrimination. I'm gay, but it's not the same thing. To how to have to deal with that day in and day out, multiple times a day, and have it break your spirit, and then have to go back to your own life and put yourself back together again, and to choose to do that every single day. The composition was an accident. I happened to have these two canvases and I wanted to do this piece. And it didn't occur to me at first, but I kept looking at these two canvases and going, what do I do with this, you know? So Justin was in wrestling at the time, and so he was literally going to the mat. And I was like, oh, look at that. It's, the whole metaphor is, you know, right in front of my face. So this is a piece from a new series that I've been working on. It's called The Study of They. And this is a portrait of a public figure named Io Tillett-Wright. And Io Tillett-Wright has been a photographer and an activist for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. And it was about 10 years ago they did a whole photography series, which was a study of the LGBTQ community. You know, the last 20 years has really been a development of the concept of they. Not that that concept hasn't been around for hundreds of years, like all the other people on the planet, but you know, we've been developing new pronouns and studying language, I think, just in general, about how we refer to each other. And so, you know, I have been getting an education on that as well. 20 years ago when I started my teaching career, I had students who would approach me that were transgender or non-binary or gender fluid and ask me if I was. And at the time, you know, I honestly answered no. You know, I was just gay. But I think a lot of that was because I just wasn't comfortable with that part of myself. But it really opens my eyes to my students, to public figures, to people just in the general public who, in the last 10, 20 years, have been so brave to go out in public and with their clothing, with their gestures, with their language, with how they present themselves, to be so brave to be fully themselves in the last 10 years when it has not always been, still isn't safe to do that. And so I think this series, I feel like it's really important to offer representation to all kinds of marginalized groups that are underrepresented in the history of portraiture and just in general. It's a depiction of these people as beautiful, which I think is really important. It desensitizes the general public in terms of anyone who still is fearful or doesn't have interaction, right, with people who are fluid. So, there's lots of functions to having a series like this.